How many red flags can hide in daylight before love turns dangerous? Sunlight spills through white curtains. Hannah Reeves sets a mug beside her open laptop, grading papers. Her phone lights up with a text from David Calloway. "You didn't tell me where you're going today." A lawnmower hums somewhere outside, steady and calm. Her mother's voice from yesterday plays in her head. "You don't sound like yourself, Hannah." And at the Cedar Falls Police Department, a dusty folder marked Mary Nolan. Clothes slides onto Detective Mark Ellison's desk again. Tuesday, 10:12 a.m. Started like every quiet morning. Coffee, routine, messages that seemed caring. But David's kindness came with rules. Where she went, who she called, how long she stayed. At first it felt protective, until she realized it wasn't about care, it was control. Neighbors waved at them from porches, smiling at what they thought was love. Detective Ellison would later call it a pattern disguised as devotion. Tessa Monroe noticed before anyone else. The missed lunches, the unread messages, the way Hannah's laughter faded. When she stopped by one bright afternoon, David answered the door alone. Polite, relaxed, blocking the hallway just enough. He said Hannah was resting after a headache. But the curtain behind him moved, and someone's shadow slipped away. That evening, Tessa received a text from Hannah. "He knows everything." Then silence. When Hannah missed her morning class, Marilyn Reeves called the school. Her classroom sat untouched, lesson plan written on the board, windows open to the sunlight. Her purse was on the chair, her phone still charging on the counter. Detective Ellison arrived before lunch. He noticed something others overlooked. A family photo turned backward on the shelf, its glass cracked along one corner. Behind the frame was a faint imprint of handwriting pressed into the paper. A name, Mary Nolan. Same loops, same pressure marks, same name from the unsolved disappearance 3 years earlier, and the same man in both stories. She believed she could love him into healing, but she'd only stepped into someone else's unfinished goodbye. Monday, 10:15 a.m. What if the quiet smiles you trust hide someone else's pain? Detective Ellison walks along sunlit streets, notebook in hand, scanning familiar homes. The morning light catches a window with curtains half drawn. Scene snap, 3 sentences neighbors murmur about Hannah's absence. Mail still piled on the porch. A florist's receipt dated the previous Saturday. Mary Nolan's favorite flowers, ordered again in David's name. Ellison reviews case files, noticing a chilling repetition. Mary Nolan, 3 years ago, vanished without trace. Similar patterns. Days of silence before anyone noticed, subtle bruises, sudden isolation. A single thread tied the past to the present. David Calloway. He interviews Hannah's co-workers. Each describes her smile fading over the weeks, her hands trembling while taking orders, excuses about stress piling up. All said the same thing. She seemed smaller somehow, like someone else was quietly living inside her life. Ellison's gaze falls on a parking ticket. Sunday morning. Mary Nolan's car spotted near David's apartment. How could a missing woman from 3 years ago be connected to a quiet, sunlit street today? She thought love could protect her. But some pasts have a way of stepping into the light. What secrets can a quiet apartment tell under the midday sun? Sunlight streams through blinds, dust motes floating in the air. Detective Ellison steps inside, clipboard in hand, scanning the living room. Hannah's favorite mug sits untouched on the counter. A calendar marks appointments, some crossed out hastily. And on a shelf, a notebook partially hidden. The name Mary Nolan scribbled in the corner. Ellison flips the notebook open. Handwritten entries describe dates, locations, fleeting meetings, both Hannah and Mary mentioned, overlapping weeks, subtle references to David's control. A pattern emerges. Isolation, monitoring, and subtle coercion. Neighbors' statements echo in his mind. She was smiling, but it never reached her eyes. He always seemed protective, but she grew quieter each day. Each ordinary detail now points toward a sinister rhythm repeating over years. Ellison notices a delivery slip from last week. Flowers, Mary Nolan's favorite, sent to David's office while Hannah was at work. Was this coincidence? Or a warning Hannah never understood? Some pasts don't stay buried. They shadow every moment of the present. How far can obsession reach before it leaves a trail? Detective Ellison sifts through city records, sunlight bouncing off dusty folders. Each paper whispers fragments of lives tangled with David. Mary Nolan's address shows a sudden move months before she disappeared. Hannah's phone records hint at monitored messages, calls unanswered. A neighbor's written note mentions seeing David helping Mary one afternoon, alone, smiling. Ellison pieces the timeline. David's quiet control now appears in daylight. Phone tracking, canceled meetings, subtle intimidation. Hannah's laughter, once full, now echoes only in photographs. Every gesture, every missed call, every minor bruise now speaks a language of manipulation. The same behaviors repeated with Mary years ago, all under the unassuming glare of the sun. Ellison makes a call. A voice on the line hesitates, then whispers, "She knew too much, and he knew it too." In daylight, everything seems ordinary, until someone remembers the truth. How do small acts of control hide a deadly pattern? Hannah walks past the bakery, phone in hand, glancing over her shoulder. David's figure is nowhere in sight, but his presence lingers in every paused step. Neighbors notice her hesitation, the quick glances toward the empty street. Her journal, left behind, has scribbled lines, "I'm trying to be enough for him, for everyone." Ellison sees the same handwriting style that once marked Mary's notes, connecting fear across years. David's emails show calm instructions, yet each word isolates her from friends, subtly rewrites her day. Hannah's smiles fade. Daylight exposes the cracks in her careful mask. A voicemail plays. "Tell her, I need her to trust me." Ellison freezes. The voice matches David's tone from 3 years ago. The control that felt invisible is now painfully clear, and it spans more than one victim. What happens when a past victim's trail suddenly crosses your present? Ellison flips through old case files. Mary Nolan's photo stares back, her last known location marked in the same handwriting as David's notes. Ellison notices a receipt in Mary's file. Same cafe where David met Hannah weeks ago. The timestamp matches a day Hannah texted, "He knows everything." Ellison leans back, heart sinking. The pattern is no coincidence. David's calm texts to Hannah now feel like a prelude to history repeating. Every word of control, every subtle threat, echoes the silence Mary once endured. The connection is finally clear. But will anyone act before another life is lost? How far does control go before it turns deadly? Detective Ellison enters Hannah's apartment with backup. David sits calmly, coffee in hand, pretending nothing is wrong. Ellison lays out the evidence. Mary Nolan's file, Hannah's texts, receipts connecting David to both women. Hannah sits frozen, tears streaking her face, realizing the pattern she narrowly escaped. David's mask slips. Guilt and fear flicker across his face as officers move in. Justice served, truth comes to light. Hannah finally speaks, her voice trembling but strong. "I won't be silenced anymore." David is arrested, charged for harassment, and the link to Mary Nolan's unsolved disappearance triggers a full cold case review. Ellison watches Hannah leave the apartment, sunlight washing over her. A quiet victory, a life reclaimed. Some lives are nearly lost to silence, but speaking the truth brings justice. Hold the silenced accountable. Subscribe to the Veil of Secret. Never let silence win.